Assalamu alaikum everyone. क्या हाल है आप लोगों के? How are you guys? Long time, first of all, and Ramadan Mubarak, secondly. वालेकुम अस्सलाम, क्या हाल हैं? Just a second. Finally, yep, here I am. Feels good to be back after a long time. Reminds me of Ramadan last year. Sir जी आपको late याद आई हमारी? Not exactly. There's still plenty of time. There is plenty of time. So inshallah I'll be streaming regularly, so you guys don't have to worry about it. ठीक है. So yeah. Sir, P3 live streams कब होंगे? So like I said, I will inshallah be streaming regularly, so you can expect P3 live stream very soon. Stream हर दिन होगी ना? हाँ बिल्कुल होगी, but obviously I have to stream other subjects as well. P1, M1, S1, P3, O-level maths, O-level ad maths. So inshallah I'll be streaming every day. Sir, got an A star because of last year in IGCSE. चलें, let's रमज़ान में पढ़ने का मज़ा ही कुछ और है. ये तो है. Even though the number of hours go down, the number of productive hours go down, but the quality of those hours, they go up extremely. Like 1 productive hour of Ramadan, I think, is equal to 2 or at least 3 of regular days. Sir, sehri tak to stream nahi hogi. Nahi, inshallah, 2 hours max. ठीक है. So let's start. Before I start, I would appreciate if you guys like the stream. If you haven't done that yet, the usual, and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that either. Although I've hit my goal of 100k, so I really don't care anymore. But I would still appreciate if you do. Sir, tips to revise your P1 chapters, please, sir. Dekho, it's not like I'm going to give you something you don't already know. Solve past papers. Okay, solve past papers. That's your best revision. Okay. Identify through past papers what are the topics that you're struggling in, and I'm talking about yearly past papers. If you're done with the syllabus, you should be solving yearly past papers, and through that identify the topics that you're struggling in, and then just focus on those. Simple as that. So currently solve the difficult questions, easy questions right out in your previous streams. Yeah, okay, I'm going to focus on some difficult questions, but I'm not going to immediately start off with difficult ones. I'm going to take things easy, nice and easy. O-level ki beta, inshallah, stay tuned. I will announce on my Instagram. I'll post on my YouTube also. Okay, I will be posting O-level streams as well. Don't worry. I think most likely tomorrow I'm streaming O-levels. I'll have to discuss it with my team and see what they say. Okay. Sir, ये वाला P1 का difficult topic है. Students say, they do say that, but I don't see why this is so difficult. Yes, there are some difficult questions, but every year, students are different. Every year, although most of the patterns stay the same, but on and off, I notice something unusual. So I noticed that a lot of you, when I posted on my Instagram, a lot of you asked me to do a stream on circular measure. So I thought, why not start with circular measure? Okay, so let's start. Okay, now focus on what we're doing. Okay, I'm going to try and cover, inshallah, all the important topics, all the ones that you guys are talking about, differentiation, integration, transformations, everything, inshallah. Don't worry, APGP, sab kuch. But right now, let's focus on what we're doing. Okay, so the diagram shows a sector AOB, which is part of a circle with center O. Achha, this PDF, by the way, you can find it in the link in description. You'll find the question paper and you'll find the marking scheme. So my aim, like I said, I'm going to solve some easy questions, then I'll solve some difficult questions. Okay. The diagram shows a sector AOB, which is part of a circle with center O and radius 6 centimeter. Acha dekho, circular measure is not difficult. Okay, if you know the formulas, that's practically all there is to know. After that, all you have to do is practice. Okay, so I'm assuming you guys know the formula. Acha, main ek kaam karta hu. Let me do you guys a small favor, I should say, कि मैं circular measure के notes भी ना आप लोगों के साथ share कर देता हूँ. ठीक है? So you guys can download my notes also. Although all my notes are available on the website, but in case you want the latest notes, so I'll share those with you guys. P1, circular measure, yeah. So you'll find it in the same folder. Okay. Now let's get back to work. So all the formulas of circular measure that you need to know are right here. Okay. these are the formulas. सिर्फ formulas की game है, that's it. Just memorize the formulas. I've done a small derivation as to where the formulas come from. If you're interested in that, you can check those out. If not, just simply memorize the formulas and you're good. ठीक है? So let's start. Find the area of the shaded region. Now remember, there's something that I always say, and that is if you fail to plan, this is a 6-mark question. So that means it requires a lot of planning. ठीक है? So if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Okay? And I'm talking about like macro level planning. I'm not saying that you dive into the fine details when you start planning. Just macro level planning. Okay, if I want the area of shaded region, how will I get it? So area of shaded region equals area of triangle. Now which triangle? Triangle OAC minus the area of sector, but which sector? ODC. ठीक है? This will tell you what direction you need to head in. ठीक है? So I repeat, area of triangle OAC minus the area of sector ODC, that will give us the area of shaded region. Okay, make sure to read the question carefully. There are 2 sectors that you have. The diagram shows a sector AOB, which is part of a circle with center O, radius 6. So that means here is one sector with angle AOB equals to 0.8 radians. The point C on OB is such that AC is perpendicular to OB. The arc CD is part of a circle with center O where D lies on OA. So that means this is part of another circle with center O. Okay, make sure you read the question carefully before you start. Now, how can I find out the area of triangle OAC? Okay, let's outline the triangle using the color red. Okay, so how do I find out the area of this triangle? Let's see. Okay, patience is key. Okay, patience is key here. So if you think about it, this is the radius, which is 6. So that means this length is also the radius, and this will also be equal to 6 centimeter. Okay, now the examiner won't tell that to you. The examiner won't come in and whisper into your ear. This you have to figure out yourself. Okay, what you're looking at is a sector. So this is a radius, and this is also the radius. Okay? Okay, now, what can I do with the help of this 6 and this angle? So remember, we have a 90-degree triangle. That means if I want to find out the area of a triangle, there are 2 ways, either half into base into height, or since I already have one length and I have an angle, how about I figure out the other length and then I use the half AB sine C formula. Okay? So let's do that. Sir, ye class, kya? What's that? I'm not sure if I understand that. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and find out OC. ठीक है, अब कैसे निकालेंगे OC? OC is technically the adjacent length and 6 is technically the hypotenuse. Okay, so what we can use is cos. Cos of 0.8 is equals to the adjacent length, which is OC, divided by the hypotenuse, which is 6. Make sure that your calculator is in radian mode. Okay? Make sure that your calculator is in radian mode. If it's not, you're going to end up getting the wrong answer. Okay, so cos of 0.8, let's multiply that by 6. What do we get? We get 4.1802. Now, bear in mind, this is not the final answer, okay? So I'm not going to round off, okay? Since it's not the final answer, I'm not going to round off. We're going to round off towards the very end, inshallah. Okay, so now let's find out the area of triangle. Area of triangle OAC, that will be equal to half into 6 into 4.1802 into sine of 0.8. Okay, let me solve this, then I'll take your questions. So 4.1802 is already in my calculator, into 6 into 0.5 into sine of 0.8. So that gives us 8.996. 8.99616. Okay, not the final answer, therefore I'm not rounding off. Sir, can we do AOB minus ODC? That's exactly what I'm doing. Achha, wait, AOB minus? No, that doesn't make sense. If I do AOB minus ODC, then I'll get all this area. Okay, so that doesn't make sense, I'm afraid. All right, now let's find out the area of sector. Achha, the good thing is, we didn't realize it, but when we figured out OC, which turned out to be 4.1802, we technically figured what? We technically ended up calculating the radius of the small sector, okay, without realizing. So there we go. We can find out the area of sector ODC now. Okay, and what's that equal to? That's equal to half r squared theta. So half into 4.1802 squared into theta, which is 0.8. Let's put this all together. Let's see what do we get. 0.5 into 4.1802 squared into 0.8 squared, whoops, into 0.8. So this is equal to 6.9896. Okay. Now it's time for the final step. That is area of shaded region equals to 8.99616 minus 6.9896. Put this together. Let's see what do we get. 8.99616 minus the answer, and we get 2.01. 2.006, which correct to three significant figures, is 2.01 centimeters squared. Don't worry about the unit. You don't have to write down the unit. You're not going to be penalized if you don't. But anyway, this is the answer, the correct answer. Okay, so now I'll take your questions. Will you cover entire P1 syllabus? I'll cover all the important topics, so don't worry. Acha, what's that? Sir, I got concepts but unable to solve past papers sometimes. Well, that's what we're here for. Why do I stream late at night, by the way? So time is something that none of you will agree on. I mean, not all of you will ever agree on. So if I do it before iftar, you guys will say, sir, we're not feeling that productive. So the stream will be posted, so you can always watch it later. How did I find out the triangle area? Okay, I'll repeat. So to find out the triangle area, there was one length that was missing. So we first figured out that length. Okay, and that's this one right here. Now remember, there's a formula that we use in O-levels, that is half AB sine C, for which you need two sides and an included angle. We did that, and that's how we got the answer. Acha, why not do AOB minus ODC? Beta, I mean, why are you guys not using your common sense? I mean, I think that's kind of obvious why we're not doing that. If I do AOB minus ODC, okay, then what is the area that I'm getting? I'm getting all this area. So beta, use your common sense. I mean, I don't know how else to say it, but it's kind of obvious why we're not going to do that. Because Sir Zain said not to round off until and unless the examiner demands. But you'll notice that some math teachers have disagreements. Okay? That is one area where I think we've agreed to disagree. But it's written on the question paper. It's not about what I say or what anyone else says. It's written in the question paper, on the question paper, so I follow what the question paper says. So yeah, but I've noticed the examiner is not but in A-levels, the examiner is quite strict. Okay, in O-levels, not so much, but in A-levels, the examiner is quite strict. Okay? So yeah, I'm not going to take a risk. If a question paper says so, I'm going to follow that. Simple as that. Sir, if I want to take O-level past paper session from Lahore, what is the criteria? Online. Registrations will start, inshallah, soon. After Eid, then you can join. Achha, let's have a look at this question. The diagram shows a chord ring. Calculate the length of the chord. I don't see how this is a difficult question yet. Chalo, let me see if I can solve. There are some really difficult questions which I would like to solve, but not immediately, gradually. Okay, but I want to start off with some easy questions. Okay, let's do this one right here. To how many significant, read what it says on the question paper. It says 3. Okay, examiners would round for us if we leave it right, because they usually say, yes, they do that. Okay, but it's also written on the question paper that you should give your answer correct to 3 significant figures. Like I said, I've noticed the examiners are a little bit lenient when it comes to this, but it's not something I'm going to rely on. Okay, so let's do question number 8. The diagram shows a circle, the diagram shows a triangle ABC, okay, in which angle ABC equals to 90 degrees and AB is equals to 4 centimeter. The sector ABD is part of a circle with center A. The area of sector is 10 centimeters square. Find angle BAD in radians. Okay. So angle BAD. BAD is a sector. Make sure to read the question carefully. What is it that we know about the sector? We know the area. What is the area equal to? It's equal to half r squared theta, which is equal to 10. Now we know what r is, and that's all we need if we want to find out theta. So half into 4 square into theta is equals to 10. Okay, just use your calculator, work it out. Not that difficult. 10 times 2, divide by 16. So we get theta equal to 1.25. Okay, make a habit of drawing a box around your final answer. Okay, all right. Now let's have a look at the following part. Find the perimeter of the shaded region. Okay, so remember, when it comes to perimeter, when it comes to area, planning is very important. Something I always say, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. It's really as simple as that. Okay, so make sure that you guys plan your answer. How do I find out the perimeter of the shaded region? How many lengths do we have to add? We have to add 1, 2, 3. Okay, so first let's write that down. So perimeter is equals to length BD, right? Arc here, so that you know it's not a straight line, it's an arc length, plus DC plus BC. Okay, now let's start with the arc length. BD, the arc length. Arc length we know, what's the formula that we use for arc length? S is equals to R theta. ठीक है, इससे फायदा क्या होता है? What's the benefit of planning? You know exactly what you have to do. It gives you a bit of a direction. Okay, you know that you have to find out this length, and this length, and then add them up. Okay, so having a bit of a direction is very important. So the arc length is equals to R theta. What's R? That's 4. What's theta? That's 1.25. So if you work this out, BD arc length is equals to 5 centimeter. Okay, so 1 down. How many more to go? 2 more to go. So remember, patience is key. Okay, now let's talk about DC. All right, so what can I do for DC? So this is 1.25. Okay, we just worked it out. And if you look at this triangle as a whole, you will realize, okay, I just realized I'm not in camera. Yeah. So if you look at this triangle as a whole, okay, so we have a right angle triangle, we have one length and one angle other than the 90-degree angle, which is practically all that we need. Okay. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to find out AC. Okay, let's start with AC. So AC technically is the hypotenuse length. Okay. So if I find out AC, then from AC I need to subtract AD, which by the way is 4 centimeter. Why? Because it's also the radius of the same sector. Okay, so how can I find out AC? AC is the hypotenuse and the length that we have is the adjacent length. So that means we can use cos. So cos of 1.25 equals to the adjacent length, which is 4, divided by the hypotenuse length, which is AC. So AC is equals to 4 upon cos 1.25. Okay, let's see what do we get. Make sure your calculator is in radian mode. 4 divided by cos 1.25. So we get 12.685. Why am I not rounding it off? Because it's not the final answer. 12.685 centimeter. Okay. Now what about, we didn't want AC, we wanted DC. So DC will be equal to AC minus AD, which means 12.865 minus 4, which is equal to 685. So 8.685 centimeter. So DC bhi aa gayi. Okay. Yep, this is A level. It may look very similar to IGCSE Ad Maths, but this is A level. Okay. Now what's left? Okay, we're running out of space, so let's utilize the space efficiently. Now what's left is length BC, for which we can use Pythagoras theorem, but I wouldn't recommend that. I would recommend that always use the original piece of information. If I use Pythagoras theorem, that means I'll have to use the length which I calculated. Now I know my answer is correct, but in the exam, it's best that you avoid. If you are in a position, you may not always be in a position to do that, but always try and use the original piece of information that's provided. Okay, so I'm going to use sine. No, wait, not sine. This is the opposite length, so we'll have to use tan. So tan of 1.25 equals to opposite, which is BC, upon the adjacent length, which is 4. So that means the length BC will turn out to be tan 1.25 into 4. That's equal to 12.038. 12.038. Okay. Now all we have to do is add them up. So the perimeter of shaded region equals to 5 plus 8.685 plus 12.038. And if you add them up, 12.038 plus 8.685 plus 5, you get the correct answer, which is 25.7, correct to 3 significant figures. 25.7, correct to 3 significant figures. Will I ever upload videos on further math? I'm afraid I won't. I don't know further math. Where can we get these worksheets? So this specific worksheet you can download from the link in description. Okay. This specific worksheet you can download. Can you share these worksheets a day before the stream that we can try solving them ourselves first? I wish I was that good of a planner. Okay, I share these worksheets ahead of time. I will try, but I can't guarantee. Sir, can you wait 1-2 minutes before starting the question so that we can read? Yeah, that is something I can do. Okay, this is a pretty cool question. Okay. I'm saving it for later. Okay, I'm saving it for later. I really like this question. It's pretty cool. And this also, by the way, is another really good question. Okay, I'm saving this also for later. ये दो questions हम करेंगे बिल्कुल end में. Now I think a good idea would be that we increase our difficulty level a bit. Find the area. Yeah, चलो ये करते हैं. This is nice. Let's do this. Sir, is there any problem if I start S1 on March? I think that's a pretty big problem if you start S1 in March. Sir, kindly solve October, November 2025. Chale, ek kaam karein. I want you guys to, so since you guys have asked me to stop here so that you guys can read the question, I want you guys to quickly read this question. Tell me a bit of a direction that you can find. Just give me 1 minute. Okay. P3, okay, like I said, guys, I will be streaming every day, inshallah, so stay tuned. मैं काम करूँगा. I think I'll probably fix a day. Yeah, that's nice. So how many days do we have? We have, how many subjects do I have to stream? P1, P3, M1, S1, maths, art, maths. Oh, damn. 6 subjects, 7 days a week. So once a week तो बहुत कम हो जाएगा. चलो, I'll see if I can do 2 streams in 1 day. Yeah, I'll stream M1 also. Don't worry. ठीक है. चलें, let's start. The diagram shows a metal plate ABC in which the sides are the straight line AB and the arcs AC and BC. The line AB has length 6 centimeter. Okay. The arc AC is part of a circle with center B and radius 6 centimeter. Okay, so you might have to use a pencil. So the arc AC, this arc, is basically part of a circle with center B. So that means this is basically the sector the question's talking about. Okay. And then the question says the arc BC is part of a circle with center A and radius 6 centimeters. So that means this is also part of another sector with radius 6 and center A. Okay, find the perimeter of the plate, giving your answer in terms of pi. All right, so first things first, we have to find out the arc length, right? We have to find out the arc length. We have to find out this arc length and we have to find out this arc length. Now, if I can find out one arc length, the other arc length will also be equal. Why? Because these two sectors both have the same radius. Okay, this sector also has radius 6 and the other sector also has radius 6. ठीक है? अच्छा. Now, if I join these points A, B and C and make a right angle triangle, अब सवाल ये है, what kind of a triangle are we looking at? What kind of a triangle are we now looking at? Question for you guys. Is it okay to take a gap year? I mean, if you're taking a gap year for good reason, then it's okay. So it depends on reason. Equilateral triangle, that's correct. Now, why is it an equilateral triangle? Let's see. So this is 6. Now remember, This is a sector. Sector means that, and sector with center A. So that means AB is the radius and AC is also the radius. So that means AC is also equal to 6 centimeter. And this is also a sector with center B and radius 6 centimeter. So that means this length will also be equal to 6 centimeter. And if all the lengths are equal, that means we're looking at an equilateral triangle. And if we're looking at an equilateral triangle, what will each angle be equal to? Question for you guys. What will each angle be equal to? Could bata sakta hai? If all the angles are 60 degrees in radian, what about in radian? What will it be equal to in radian? That's what? Pi upon 3. Okay, so basically triangle ABC is an equilateral triangle. Therefore, angle ABC, or all the angles in fact, will be equal to pi upon 3. Okay, pi is the sum divided by 3. Beta P3, like I said, I will be streaming every day, so no need to spam. Stay tuned on my Instagram. I'll announce when I'm streaming P3. Okay. So what we can do now is, and not just angle ABC, also angle CAB. Okay, so now we can find out the perimeter of the plate. So the perimeter will be equal to AC, the arc length, plus CB, also the arc length, plus AB, the length of the straight line. Okay, planning is very important. Yes, every circular measure question is supposed to be done in radian, because if you don't do it in radian, how do you expect your answer to be in terms of pi? Okay, and all the formulas that you use in circular measure are designed to be used when the angle is in radian. Okay, so let's find out the arc length. Okay, S is equals to R theta. So AC, the arc length, will be equal to 6 into pi upon 3. Okay, and what's that equal to? That's equal to 2 pi. So that means the perimeter is equal to 2 pi plus 2 pi plus 6. Can we further simplify it? Yes, we can. So we have 4 pi plus 6 as the perimeter of the shaded region. Okay, there you go. Yep, every stream that I do, guys, is uploaded as soon as it's over. आप लोग तो ऐसे पूछ रहे हैं as if you're watching the first stream. Sir, can paper get leaked this year also? Khuda ka mano, I really hope it doesn't. But keep your fingers crossed. Okay, now, how do I find out the area of the shaded region? Sorry, not the area of the shaded region, the area of the plate. Question for you guys. How do I find out the area of the plate? In terms of pi and root 3. Bear that in mind. Two sector minus triangle plus triangle. 2 sector minus triangle. But don't you have enough problems in your life already? Why do you want to make it more miserable? 2 area of sector minus triangle and then add triangle back. Same applies to you also. Okay, anyone else? It's got to be an easy way, no? Think about it. Think about it. Chalo, let me give you guys a hint. By the way, what you guys are saying is correct. Okay, let me validate that. So you guys are saying we find out the area of the sector, we double it, then we subtract the area of triangle. So if I'm subtracting it, why add it back? I think we should just subtract it once. So area of sector plus the area of sector, and we can only subtract it once. Yeah, So 2 times the area of sector minus the area of triangle. क्या ख्याल है? अच्छा wait, जो आपने बोला था ना, wait a minute. 2 sector minus triangle. I think Nausheen. What you meant by sector minus triangle, did you mean this area? If this area is what you meant, then yeah, that's absolutely correct. That's basically what I'm going to do. Yeah, advanced students can take this, but I will be doing it for advanced as well. My advice is just do something else right now. Okay? But yeah, you can watch it. It's the same concept. So here's, yeah, Nausheen, if that's what you said, then that's correct. Okay? But don't take this approach. Okay? Area of sector plus the area of other sector or multiply by 2, then we subtract the triangle. I mean, I don't see, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that, but there's an easier way. Okay, the easier way is that you find out the area. What do we call this, by the way? What do we call a region that is that is bounded by arc length and a chord? Technically, that's what this is, right? This is basically called a segment. Okay, this is basically called a segment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find out the area of segment. Okay, so this and this region, these are basically called segments. Okay, knowing the right terminologies are very important. Segments. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do 2 times the area of segment. अच्छा बेटा जो सब पूछ रहे हैं O level की stream कब होगी, A level की कब होगी, मैंने इतनी planning नहीं करता. कल कौन सी stream करूँगा, I'll probably decide tomorrow morning. ठीक है? So just stay tuned on my Instagram. I'll announce. Okay? So 2 times area of segment plus area of triangle ABC. Okay, I repeat. So 2 times this area plus the area of triangle. Okay, I repeat. 2 times this area plus the area of triangle. Okay, now how we're going to find these areas, that's something we're going to talk about in a minute, but this is what we need to do if I want the area of the plate. This area plus this area, okay, and both these areas will be equal, and plus this area. Yep, every stream will be uploaded as soon as it ends. Now, how do I find out the area of segment? That will be equal to area of sector minus the area of triangle. Okay? You sure? Yeah, I think I'm sure about my streams. So yeah, it will be uploaded. ठीक है, इसको ज़रा center align कर लेते हैं. Looks nice. Okay, so let's find out the area of sector. How do we find out the area of sector? Bear in mind that we've found all the angles also. Okay, it's pi upon 3, pi upon 3, pi upon 3. So the area of sector will be equal to 1 upon 2 into r square, so into 6 square into theta, which is pi upon 3, minus the area of triangle. Area of triangle will be equal to half into 6 into sine pi upon 3. Okay, we have all the sides and we have all the angles, so we can pick any two and the included angle, and that will get the job done. Okay, and we're going to multiply this by 2. Okay, we're going to multiply this by 2. Why? Because we have 2 such areas. Okay, we have 2 such areas, so we're going to multiply this by 2. Okay, now let's work this out. Okay, patience is key. It's very important. 0.5 into 6 square into pi upon 3. So this gives us 6 pi minus 1 upon 2 into 6 into sine. Make sure your calculator is in radian mode. Pi upon 3. So this gives us 9 under root 3. ठीक हो गया? So we need to multiply this by 2. Okay. So when you multiply this by 2, what do you get? You get 12 pi minus 18 under root 3. Okay, so this is the area of the 2 segments. Okay, this is the area of the 2 segments. Okay, let me just make sure I've done everything correctly. 0.5 into 6 into pi upon 3. Check as you go along, very important. And then 0.5 into 6 into sine of pi upon 3. Yep, 9 under root 3. Okay, so far so good. Now, this is basically the area of the 2 segments. Okay, this is the area of 2 segments. Now what we need to add is the area of the triangle, area of the equilateral triangle. So area of triangle ABC, will be equal to half into 6 into 6 into sine pi upon 3. And I think we worked it out earlier also. This is equal to 9 under root 3. Okay, so that's it. Time to simplify, time to put it all together. 12 pi minus 18 root 3 plus 9 root 3. So minus 18 plus 9, what's that equal to? That's equal to minus 9. So we have 12 pi minus 9 under root 3. And that, fellas, is the correct answer. This is the area of the shaded region. I mean the area of the plate. And there you go. Job done. Sir, could you do O-level maths mensuration in stream? Yep, I do plan on doing O-level math mensuration, don't worry. But anyway, here we are. This was a slightly more complex question. But if you do it patiently, and if you do it systematically, it's not going to be that big of a problem. So let me find a slightly more complex question. This question looks nice. Let's solve this. Find the perimeter of the shaded region. Yeah, let's do this. Let's do this. Okay. This, just so you guys know, is from October-November 2022, paper 13. Okay. So you guys take a... When's the... Beta, itna mujhe future ki nahi pata ki main add maths kab stream karunga. My advice to you is ke just stay tuned. Okay. Just... I'll announce on my Instagram what I'm streaming next. So you can join then. Okay. And I'll post on my YouTube also. I noticed that some of you deactivate your Instagram after, during Ramadan or close to exams, which is good. So I'll post on my YouTube also. Okay, whatever I'm streaming. All right, let's solve this question. Let's see what it says. The diagram shows two identical circular measures barely covered anywhere. ठीक है, कोई tension की बात नहीं है. I will cover it, don't worry. October-November 2025, variant 12, circular measure. I'll see if I have October-November questions here. If I don't, then I'll quickly see if I can get a hold of it. Okay. Sir, did you enjoy Rubik event? I told you about changing boards. I did enjoy the event, but what do you mean changing boards? I'm not... Oh, achha, okay. Yeah, I think we spoke. Rubik mein we met. Yeah. You switched from intermediate to A levels, right? If I remember correctly. You're welcome. Yeah, it's math lead by Saad. So let's solve this question. The diagram shows two identical circles intersecting at points A and B with centers P and Q. The radius of each circle is R and the distance PQ is 5 upon 3R. Okay, so the distance PQ is 5 upon 3R. All right. Find the perimeter of the shaded region in terms of R. Okay. So planning is very important. How do we plan? We want this length plus this length. Okay. So these two lengths added will give us the perimeter of the shaded region. That's a question. Will these lengths be equal or will these lengths be different? Question for you guys. Will these lengths be equal or will these lengths be different? These lengths will be equal. That is correct. These lengths will be equal. Okay. Let's see how we can get a hold of these lengths. So notice that PQ is 5 over 3R. Okay. Now, before I can find out, technically this is the arc length, right? Technically, this is the arc length. But the thing is, before I can find out the arc length, what I need is how, okay, here's how. These two circles are identical. Okay, these two circles are identical. So this is R and this will also be R. Okay, so technically the sector that is formed will be equal. Okay, the two sectors that will be formed will be equal. Okay, so that is why these two lengths will also be equal. Okay, this is R. या चलो मैं एक और तरीके से बता देता हूँ आपको. This is joining the center of the two circles. ठीक है. अच्छा, सबसे पहले तो एक काम करते हैं. Let's first draw a triangle. ठीक है. So let's have a look at this triangle right here. I'm going to call this point x. Okay, I'm going to call this point x. So what, since PQ is equal to 5 over 3r, okay, what do you think about PX? PX will be equal to 5 over 3r divided by 2. Okay, why? Because this is right at the center. Okay, this is right at the center. Okay, this is happening right at the center. So PQ, which is equal to 5 over 3r, this length will be half of 5 over 3r. So 5 over 3r, if you divide by that by 2, that's equal to 5 over 6r. Okay, this is what PX is equal to. ठीक हो गया? Okay, now, how is this important? Well, this is why this is important. Because now what I can do is, I technically have the adjacent side, which is 5 over 6r. And I have the hypotenuse side. Okay, so this is the triangle that we're talking about. I have the adjacent side, I have the hypotenuse side. What can I do now? I can find out the angle. Acha, the question is, why do we want the angle to begin with? Because if I don't have the angle, I can't find out the arc length. Okay? And I should have done some planning here, which I didn't. But like I said earlier, planning is crucial. So the perimeter is basically equal to the arc length AB times 2. AB arc length plus AB arc length. Okay, you can either multiply it by 2 or you can just add them twice, same thing. Achha, let's use cosine rule. So the triangle that we're looking at, let me draw it separately so you have a better perspective. So this is A, this is P, and this is X. This is 5 over 6R, this is R. So what we're going to use is we're going to use cos. So cos of APX is equals to adjacent over hypotenuse. That means 5 over 6R over R. Now you may wonder, okay, how come we can find out the angle? We don't have the length. Well, we do have the length in terms of R, and R will cancel, which means APX, let's see what's that equal to. Cos inverse of 5 upon 6, so that's equal to 0.5857. Okay, 0.5857, not the final answer, therefore I'm not rounding it off. Okay? Okay, now, how can I then use this length to find out the arc length? Okay, let's see how I can use this length to find out the arc length. Let's have a look. So what we can do is this. So this angle will be twice of the angle that we've worked out. Okay, so let's draw this sector separately here. Here is A, here is B, and here is P. Okay, now if I double this angle, let's multiply it by 2. What do we get? We get 1.1713. 14 kar lete hain since it's not the final answer. Okay, now let's double it. Let's use this to find out the arc length AB. So S is equals to R theta. So that means AB, the arc length, will now be equal to, R is R into 1.1714. So that means 1.1714 R. And now what we have to do is we now have to double it. Okay? So why? Because we have to find out this arc length and we also have to find out the other arc length. Okay? So all that's left for us to do now is to double it. So let's multiply it by 2. Let's see what do we get. So we get 2.3427 R, which correct to 3 significant figures is equal to 2.34 R. And let me see if that's the correct answer. This is question number 17 from this worksheet. Yep, it is the correct answer. Thankfully, it is the correct answer. Achha, now, देखो, sir, paper में इतना time नहीं होता सोचने के लिए. These questions are so weird. I agree, these questions are weird, but you have to think the paper will not be full of such questions. Okay, so you will have, obviously you're going to have difficult questions, but I mean, that's what you've signed up for. Don't expect it to be easy all the time. There will be challenging questions, so it's best that you mentally prepare for it. Okay, and the more difficult questions you practice, the more well prepared you will be for questions like these. Achha, let's go over this again. I'll give you guys a quick summary. First of all, realize that you have two identical circles, okay, intersecting at points A and B with centers P and Q. The radius of each circle is R and the distance PQ, which is basically the distance between the two centers, okay, which means if I drop a perpendicular line from here, what will this perpendicular line do? This perpendicular line will cut PQ into half. ठीक है, अब PQ की length है 5/3r. Okay, so the length of PQ is 5/3r. If I drop a perpendicular line from here, then this will be divided into 2, which will give us 5/6r. Okay, now why do we want another length? So that we can make a triangle with a 90-degree triangle where we have two lengths, and with the help of two lengths we can find out the angle. Why do we need an angle? Because I can't find out the angle before if I want to find out the arc length. Okay, and why do we want the arc length? Because the perimeter is basically the sum of this arc length and the other arc length, and they're both equal, so we just have to find one and multiply by 2. Okay, so once we have this length, which is the adjacent length, and this length, which is the hypotenuse, which was already given, this is the situation that we are in. We use cos to find out this angle. Now, since this sector is double of the previous one, we double this angle also. When we double it, this is what we get, which means we can now find out arc length AB. Once you found out arc length AB, all you have to do is double it, because the other arc length is also arc length AB, and that's how you'll get the final answer. So how many yearlies to do? I always say don't chase a number, rather chase a feeling. What feeling should you chase? You should chase a feeling of confidence. Okay, you feel confident while solving a paper, you are able to maintain a decent score every single time, you're able to finish the paper within time, and like I said, get a decent grade after the threshold is applied. Okay, so solve as many papers as you have to till you reach that state. Okay. The thing is, if you chase a number, problem with that is, let's say you decide that you're going to do 5 years of past papers. The problem is, even if after doing 5 years, you haven't really achieved that state, that flow state, where you can solve a paper, another test which I will tell you is how to know whether you've solved enough past paper questions is once you start solving past paper questions, you can kind of predict after looking at the first part what the second part is going to be. So let me ask you guys, what do you think part B of this question will be? I hope you guys haven't seen it. I hope I haven't shown it to you. But if you've done enough questions, you'll probably have an idea as to what the following part is going to be. If you can reach that state where you can look at part 1 and kind of anticipate, okay, not for every single question, but for majority of the questions, to a good degree of accuracy, what the following part is going to ask, you know that you've done enough questions. Okay, and I'm not talking this for a single topic. I'm saying this applies to all the topics. So these are basically all the checkpoints you need to follow. Okay, area. Let's see if it's area. There you go. It is in fact area. Okay, so you know that you've done enough past paper questions. अच्छा एक काम करते हैं. Let's delete this. Let's take a screenshot of this. Let's bring the working back. Okay. So, although nice advice, sir, recent 5 years के 2 बार करने चाहिए, 10 years के 1 बार. Recent 5 years twice is better. In fact, no. If I had to pick between the two, I would pick 10. But yeah, how many years is a must? Like I said, don't chase a number. But if you really want a number, then I would say do 2020 onwards. Okay, because 2020, there was a syllabus change. Was it 2020 or 2022? I think it was 2020. Yeah, 2020, there was a syllabus change. And it has been the same since. So do 2020 onward. I'll have to check. 2020 mein tha ya 2022 mein tha? Just a second. I think it was 2020 when transformation of functions along with equation of a circle was added. Let Let me see if there's a question on equation. Yep, just 2020 onwards. Yeah, 2020. So, 2020 onwards. Anyway, now let's get to work. Find the area of the shaded region in terms of R. Okay, fellas, how do I find out the area of shaded region? Planning is a must. Okay, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So, what can we do here? What can be done? Well, here's what we can do. We can find out the area of sector minus the area of triangle to find out the area of segment, and then simply double it. We have all the necessary information. We worked out this angle to be 1.1714. So yeah, I think we have all the relevant ingredients. We just have to put them together in a different way. 1.1714. Yeah, let's do that. So let's find out the area of segment. So 2 times the area of segment. Okay, and how do you find out the area of segment? Area of segment is basically equal to area of sector minus area of triangle. So area of sector, which sector to be precise? ABP minus the area of the same triangle, triangle APB. Okay, now let me solve this question, then I'll see what you guys are talking about. So area of sector will be equal to half r square theta. So that means half r square theta is equal to 1.1714 minus the area of triangle. So area of triangle kya hoga? Area of triangle would be half into r into sine theta, sine of 1.1714. 1.1714. Okay. Time to put this all together. In fact, just multiply it by 2. Okay. As you multiply it by 2, the halves and the 2 cancel out each other. So we're looking at 1.1714 r square. Let's work this out. What is sine 1.1714? That's equal to 0.921295. So minus 0.921295. 96 kar lete hain. R square. So let's subtract the 2. Let's see what do we get. 1.1714 minus answer. So we get 0.2501 r square, which correct to 3 significant figures is equal to 0.250. And that, fellas, thankfully, is the correct answer. There you go. Sir, is it possible if you can take the session at like this timing for O level? Yeah, I will be streaming, inshallah, regularly, and I will be streaming at this time only. Okay. Hi, sir, got 97 percentile in JEE mains. Great to see you again. Okay. So are you going to do AdMath stream regularly from now on? Your last stream was 3 weeks ago. Yes, I will. I don't know how many times I've answered that. I will be streaming regularly, guys, from today, inshallah, if all goes well. So enough of easy questions. Now let's do a difficult question. Let's do this one right here. Topicals or yearly? Topicals. Okay. Yearly, I'll take live mocks like I did last year. So I'll do that, inshallah. But I'll do that close to exams, not right now. Sir, मेरा वाला question कर दें. कर लूँगा. Don't worry. पहले ये वाला question solve करते हैं. Question number 9. Yeah, this is question number 9. Yes, it will be available on YouTube, guys. Area of shaded region will be in the next part. Okay, I think I've thought slow chal rahe hain. But khair, anyway, the diagram shows a symmetrical metal plate. Okay. The plate is made by removing 2 identical pieces from a circular disc with center C. The boundary of the plate consists of 2 arcs PS and QR of the original circle and 2 semicircles with PQ and RS as diameters. The radius of the circle with center C is 4 cm and PQ is equals to RS, which is also equal to 4 cm. Beta S2 मुझे नहीं आता, so I can't solve S2. ठीक है, so I think you'll find S2 content somewhere on YouTube. Achha, this is 4 cm. This will also be equal to 4 cm. This is also equal to 4 cm. ठीक है, ये I'm not predicting this. I'm not assuming this. We know this from the question. Okay, so I repeat. The question says that PQ is equals to RS, which is equal to 4 centimeters. So this is 4, this is 4, and the radius of the circle is also 4. Okay, bear in mind that this is basically a plate with a circular plate. This was a circular plate, okay, and this is removed and this is removed. Okay? These two regions are removed and this is what we have left. ठीक हो गया? Okay, now show that angle PCS is equals to 2 upon 3 pi radian. Okay, how can we do that? Angle PCS is equals to 2 upon 3 pi radian. How can we do that? Now we can solve this smartly. Okay, sir? I'll show you. So draw a straight line here. Draw another straight line here. Okay. Now bear in mind that this angle will be pi upon 3. Why? Because we have an equilateral triangle. And this angle will also be pi upon 3. Okay. And these two angles, the angles that we're supposed to find out, will basically be equal to this angle. Okay. And these two angles will be equal. Right? I repeat. So this is an equilateral triangle. How? Because the radius of the circle is 4. This is also 4. So equilateral triangle. And this is also an equilateral triangle. Same circle, same radius. And SR is also equal to 4. Okay. So this is pi upon 3. This is pi upon 3. So if I do for angle PCS, if I want to find out angle PCS, then the first thing I need to do is I need to take 360, which is equal to 2 pi, and subtract the sum of the two angles that we have. That is pi upon 3 plus pi upon 3. Okay. If I do that, if I from 360 subtract these two angles, then the result that I will get will be the sum of these two angles. Okay. And these two are also identical. Okay. So these two are also identical. So if I from 360 subtract the sum of these two angles, I get the sum of these two angles. So what do I need to do? I need to basically divide the answer by 2. Okay, I need to divide the answer by 2. And let's see what do we get. So 2 pi minus pi upon 3 plus pi upon 3 is 2 pi upon 3 in case you're wondering. Okay, so we get 4 upon 3 pi divided by 2. And what's 4 upon 3 pi divided by 2? That is indeed equal to 2 upon 3 pi. And that is the answer. Okay. Can we use the arc length formula? Beta, we don't have the arc length. How will you use the arc length formula? Can we do pi minus pi upon 3? Why didn't I think of that? Okay, you got me there. I should have done that. That's actually much easier. Yeah, that's actually much easier. I don't know why I took the longer way. So angle PCS is simply equal to pi minus pi upon 3. This is much better. 2 upon 3 pi. Okay. In fact, you know what? I don't want to embarrass myself and leave this here. So this is better. Pi minus pi upon 3. Okay. So I appreciate that. I appreciate you pointing that out. But what I would like to mention over here is that triangle PCQ is an equilateral triangle. Okay. All right. So why centimeter questions are hardest? What do you mean? Why centimeter questions are hardest? Not sure I understand. What do you mean by that? Anyway, find the exact perimeter of the plate. Okay. Let's find out the exact perimeter. Since we have to use this figure again and again, let me take a screenshot of it and paste it here. Okay, how do I find out the exact perimeter of the plate? So pi upon 3 kidhar se aaya? It's an equilateral triangle, beta. If it's an equilateral triangle, then every angle will be equal to pi upon 3. Okay? So the exact perimeter of the plate. First of all, let's see how many lengths we have to add. Okay, how we get those lengths, we're going to talk about that later. So basically, in order to find out the perimeter, we'll have to add PQ, which is basically, you can say the circumference of a semicircle, or you can call it the arc length. It's up to you. Okay? CM means circular measure. Oh, okay. Okay. No, that's not true. That's not true. It's not that circular measure questions are the hardest. Okay. If you're struggling with circular measure, then my advice to you would be to do a lot of past paper questions because this topic should be your strength. I mean, you should look forward to having a question on circular measure because majority of the questions are easy. Okay? Anyway, now let's lock into this question. I want full concentration from now on. So PQ is technically what? PQ is technically the semicircle with radius 4 centimeter. ऐसे ही है? Let's read the question. Let's not assume anything. The plate is made by removing two identical pieces from a circular disc. The boundary of the plate consists of two arcs, PS and QR of the original circle, and two semicircles with PQ and RS as diameters. Okay, so let's not assume anything. PQ and RS are diameters of two semicircles. Okay, and what's the radius of the semicircle? The radius of the semicircle is, since the diameter is 4, that means PQ and RS are equal to 4. So that means this is equal to 2 centimeter. Okay. Now what we can do is, since the arc length of PQ and SR will both be equal, let's find out one and simply either multiply it by 2 or just add it twice. Okay, either way works. So the circumference is equals to 2 pi r of a circle. It's equal to 2 pi r. We'll divide by 2 and we'll also multiply it by 2 because we have 2 of these. Okay, now if you thought of it, if you already thought of the fact that when we combine these two, we'll have a full circle, and you've decided, okay, you're just going to take it as 2 pi r, that also works. Okay? So 2 pi r, 2 pi times 2, what's that equal to? That's equal to 4 pi. Okay, so 2 down, 2 more to go. Now the good news is the question has already made you do the hard work. The question has already made you find out this angle. Okay, and it's only with the help of this angle that we are going to find out the arc length PS. Okay, so PS, the arc length, will be equal to r theta. Now the radius is 4, theta is 2 upon 3 pi. And don't forget to multiply this by 2 because we have 2 of these. Okay, because we have 2 of these. So let's multiply this by 2 also. So 4 times 2 is 8, 8 upon 3 is 8 times 2 is 16, so 16 upon 3 pi. So that means the perimeter of the plate is equals to 4 pi plus 16 over 3 pi. Okay, can we add this? Can we add 4 pi plus 16 over 3? Let's see what do we get. 4 plus 16 over 3. So we get 28 over 3 pi. So the perimeter, the exact perimeter of the plate is 28 over 3 pi. Why are we keeping it in terms of pi? Because the question said exact. Okay. Now take a good look at it. Let me know if you have any questions whatsoever. Sir Saad, I scored A grade on O-level maths. All thanks to your lectures. Really grateful, and I appreciate that. I am not getting this question. Okay, frankly speaking, so far it's not that difficult. Okay, but I'll explain it again. Look, planning is important. If you want to find out the perimeter of this plate, you need to know how many lengths we need to add to find out the perimeter. So that's 1, 2 identical lengths, okay, which are basically, PQ is basically circumference of a semicircle with radius 2. SR is also the radius of the semicircle with center 2. Okay, so these two lengths are exactly equal. Okay, so how do we find out one length? 2 pi r upon 2. That's the circumference of a semicircle multiplied by 2 because we have 2 of these. Okay, since we have 2 of these, so we multiply it by 2. So what do you get? You get 2 pi times 2. What's that equal to? That's equal to 4 pi. So that means the lengths of these two semicircles combined is equals to 4 pi. Then what you want is this arc length, for which the radius is 4 and theta is 2 upon 3 pi. You find out 1. Okay, and what is that equal to? That is basically equal to the length of QR as well. So that is why we multiply it by 2. We have this arc length and we have this arc length. Then what we do is we simply add them up and we get the answer. Okay, so if you think about it patiently, it's not that difficult. However, the following part is difficult. Show that the area of the plate is equals to so and so. अच्छा जी, अब आप लोगों से एक सवाल है. How do I find out the area? Question for you guys. क्या सीन है? Paste क्यों नहीं हो रहा? Copy. Paste. Okay, question for you guys. How do I find out the perimeter of the plate? Sir, I got a B in A-level maths and I wish to do BA in maths. Should I? if you think BA in maths, I mean, that's very dry. I mean, what are you going to get out of it? Have you thought about why you want to do BA in maths? Area of two sector plus area of two sector plus area of two semicircle. Nope. Nope, that's not. Is B in O levels a good grade? If you have, I mean, B in isolation is a good grade, but depends on what you're aiming for. If you're aiming for scholarships, I doubt you're going to land yourself a lot of scholarship with B grades. So yeah. I say it's not that bad a grade, but if you're aiming for scholarships, if you're aiming for good universities, then I'm afraid it's not. Acha. So area of two circle plus area of two semicircle, that is wrong, because we want to find out the area of the plate. Okay, we want to find out this area. So area of, what's that? Area of two sector plus area of two semicircle, that does not make sense. Acha. Area of big circle minus the area of small circle. So I'm assuming you're saying you're considering this to be the area of big circle, and you're saying from that we subtract the area of the small circle. Correct? Is that what you're saying? Kisna bola? Komal. Komal, is that what you're saying? And what about the rest of you? There are 50 people and only 2 people have bothered to answer. ठीक है. Hold on to that. Anyone else? Sir, is this AS level or A level? This is AS, but a P1 is done in AS. Okay, you can call it A level also. Okay, but this is P1. A level math P1. So I watched your live stream one day before my level midterm. Thanks to you. I appreciate that. I appreciate you taking the time and saying this here. It means a lot. Sir, maths अच्छी लगती है, बहुत अच्छी बात है. The real Ramzan. Actually, idea is not. Okay, so here is what a lot of people, I'm afraid, ended up doing, and they ended up getting it wrong. Okay? So what a lot of people said is this: area of big circle minus the area of two semicircles. Okay? Area of big circle minus the area of two semicircles. This, I'm afraid, is wrong. Okay, I'm afraid this is wrong. Okay? Area of sector plus area of triangle minus area of semicircle. Okay, you can try that. Okay? So I want you guys to pay close attention. Basically, the circle is this. Okay, this is the circle that I want you guys to pay close attention to. Now, from this circle, is it enough if I only subtract the area of semicircle? If from the circle, let me see if I can line it up exactly on top of it. Yeah, okay. So from this circle, if I subtract just the area of semicircle, you know what ends up happening? We only end up removing this area. Okay, this is the only area that we end up removing. We only end up removing this area and this area. But the thing is, we need to subtract this area as well. We need to subtract the area of segmental also. Okay, so this is where a lot of people would go wrong in this question. Okay, they would do area of big circle minus area of two semicircles. The correct answer would be area of big circle minus area of two semicircles minus the area of two segments. Okay, this is the correct answer. Area of big circle minus 4 sectors. Okay, how does that make sense? Area of big circle minus No, wait a minute. That does not make sense. Dekho, I hope you guys understand that the area that we want is this area. This is the area that we want. Let me try and... This is the area that we want. Okay. This is the area जो कि हमें निकालना है. ठीक है. So I don't know where that sector's logic is coming from. It doesn't make sense to me. If this is the area that you want, let me show it to you separately. So you want the area of the plate. Okay, so how is the sector logic coming from? So you're saying area of sector. Area of sector निकालेंगे तो फिर we may end up calculating this area also. There's a problem with that approach. If I calculate the area of sector, I'll probably end up calculating this area as well. Okay, so area of big circle minus 4 sectors, that also does not make sense to me. So you're saying area of big circle minus all these areas? I don't know, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Okay. No, the semicircles have 2 sectors. So let me first do it through this approach. Okay, then I'll one by one examine your approach. Okay. No, this is not the last question. After this, we're going to do one more question. We'll probably stream till 1 a.m. Okay, so let's start by calculating the area of the big circle, which will be pi into, what's the radius? The radius is 4. So pi into 4 square. Okay, let's put this on the side. This is the area of the big circle, which is equal to 16 pi. Let's put this on the side. We'll come back to it later on. Okay. P3 streams when? Like I said, stay tuned on my Instagram. You will find out when I'm streaming it. Okay. So 16 pi is the area of the big circle. From this, let's subtract the area of 2 semicircles. Okay, area of 2 semicircles. So how will I subtract the area of the 2 semicircles? That's going to be pi r square upon 2. What's the radius? The radius is 2. Okay, don't forget, this semicircle has radius 2. Okay, so pi times 2 squared divide by 2 since it's a semicircle, and also multiplied by 2 since we have 2 of these. Okay. Okay. So we cross this out. What's this equal to? This is equal to 4 pi. Let's also put this on the side. We'll come back to it later. Okay, we'll collect all these values and find out the final answer shortly. Now what you want to do is you want to find out the area of the 2 segments. Okay, let's find out the area of the 2 segments. How can I find out the area of segment? Let's see. So for area of segment, what we'll have to do is we'll have to do area of sector minus area of triangle. Okay, so if I want to find out the area of segment, I'll have to first find out the area of the sector minus the area of the triangle to find out this area. Okay. So how can I calculate the area of sector? Do we have enough information? Yes, we do. We worked out this angle to be pi upon 3. Don't forget that this is 4. This is also 4. So area of 2 segments will be equal to 2 times area of sector, which is half r squared theta. So that means half times 4 squared times pi upon 3 minus the area of triangle, which means half times 4 times 4 times sine pi upon 3. Okay, so we can cross out this 2 with this half and this half. ठीक हो गया? Okay, so 4 squared is 16. 16 into pi upon 3 is 16 pi upon 3. Okay, minus what is sine pi upon 3? Sine pi upon 3 is under root 3 upon 2 into 16. What's that equal to? That's equal to 8 under root 3. Okay, we've already multiplied it by 2, so no need to multiply it by 2 yourself. Okay, I mean, I've already cancelled this 2, so no need to do that part. Okay, now it's time to put it all together. Okay, now it's time to put it all together. So area is equal to area of the big circle, which is 16 pi, minus the area of 2 semicircles, which is 4 pi, minus the area of the 2 segments, which is equal to 16 pi upon 3 pi actually. No, yeah, 16 upon 3 pi. Let's write it like that. 16 upon 3 pi minus 8 under root 3. Okay, and keep your eyes on the prize. We're supposed to show that the answer is equal to this. So I think we will. So 16 minus 4 pi is 12 pi minus 16 upon 3 pi. We'll work this out shortly. Minus minus will make it plus, so plus 8 under root 3. Okay, so 12 times 3 is 36. 36 minus 16 is 20, so 20 upon 3 pi plus 8 under root 3. Is this what we were supposed to show it as? Let me see. 20 upon 3 pi plus 8 under root 3. Yep, there you go. That is the final answer. मज़ा आया? Sir, chats नहीं देखते क्या? अच्छा, क्या हो गया भाई? Sir, I have my P3 tomorrow. I have my P3 tomorrow. Any tips? Solve the recent past papers. That's what I would suggest. That's the best tip that I can give you. There you go. Is it possible to give all subjects composite? If you're crazy enough to do it, then yes, but why would you want to do that? Guys, how many topics have Sir Saad done in such streams? Okay, so since that question is for you guys can answer. The 8-letter words, why don't we multiply 3 for E, that is the last place. Find the probability that the arrangement V as first letter and E as last. Why don't we multiply? Why will I multiply E by 3? Find the probability that the arrangement V as the first letter. Okay, I'm gonna have to solve that question, ठीक है, to be able to answer that. मैं इस तरह से जवाब नहीं दे सकता. I won't be able to explain it effectively. Sir, in the question where we have to prove the equation, as my examiner cuts the mark, indicate more info required, how to deal with that? It's probably because you've, like for example, you've just figured out that it's an equilateral triangle and you haven't mentioned it. Okay, you haven't mentioned why it's an equilateral triangle. So if you figure out something, if you figure out two angles to be equal, if you figure out that a triangle is an equilateral triangle, then just make sure that you mention how you figured that. Okay, if you don't give the examiner enough reason for the examiner to believe why you figured so and so to be true, then don't expect full marks. Okay. Acha, let's do, I think, there was another difficult question which I would like to solve. Acha, फिर एक October November 2025 का आप लोग बोल रहे थे. Let me, if I have the paper downloaded, I'll do it. If I don't, then I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to. Okay, I'm afraid I don't have the paper downloaded. Okay, I will, however, solve one more question. Just a second. And that's this one right here. There was another extremely difficult question. Yeah, let's do this one. Sir, does the examiner expect us to know? Of course, you need circle properties, angle properties of circles in equation of circles. So yes, the examiner does expect. Everything that you've done in O-levels, I'm talking about O-level math, becomes assumed knowledge. Okay? Notice that there is no sine rule in A-level math, but we still use it. There is no cosine rule in A-level math, we still use it. There is no quadratic formula. We don't learn the quadratic formula in A-level math. We assume, the book assumes that we know it. So yeah, everything that you do in O-level maths becomes assumed knowledge. Ramadan Mubarak to you. So I just want to say that I'm very grateful from you. So I appreciate that. Yeah, it's not like you need to sit down and start studying O-levels. It's just that I would advise you to go over equation of circles on my channel. Usme you can see all the O-level properties. I've mentioned clearly all the O-level properties that you need to know. Or you can just look at my notes. I've mentioned the O-level circle properties that you need to know. Let's solve this question. This is question number 10 of the worksheet. Let's see what it says. Question number 10 of this worksheet. So P3 2023. It's enough maybe for your mock exam, but not enough for CI. Okay, maybe it's enough for your mock exam, but not for your CI. The diagram shows a cross section of 7 cylindrical pipes, each of radius 20 centimeter, held together by a thin rope, which is wrapped tightly around the pipes. The centers of the 6 outer pipes are A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay. Points P and Q are situated where straight sections of the rope meet with center A. Okay, so straight sections of the rope meet with center A. Straight sections, okay? Not the curved ones, the straight ones. Okay. Then the question says, points P and Q, okay, I've already read that. Show that angle PAQ is equals to 1 upon 3 pi radian. Okay, this is an interesting question. Sir, aapne bhi OA levels kiya? Yep, I've done O levels. Sir, the binomial theorem you explained, hats off to you, I never found that so easy. Binomial theorem is an easy topic. I mean, you should So I'm glad you find it easy, but it should be a strong topics. See, there are some chapters, no matter how difficult a question gets, it's still going to be easy. Binomial is one of those chapters. Okay, how do I show that PAQ is equal to 1 upon 3 pi? Let's have a look. How can we show that PAQ is equals to 1 upon 3 pi? Now, what is this? This is technically a hexagon. Okay, what is this? This is technically a hexagon. Okay, and this right here is a rectangle. Okay, this is a rectangle, this is a rectangle, and this is a hexagon. Okay, okay, now here's what we can do. Yeah. Now, since this is going to be a regular hexagon, okay, because all these cylindrical pipes each have radius 20 centimeter, okay? So, एक काम करते हैं, let's write it down, ठीक है? A, B, C, D, E, F is a regular hexagon, okay? Therefore, each angle, what will each angle be equal to? Each angle will be equal to, is it a hexagon? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. So each angle will be equal to 6 minus 2. That's 4 into pi, because we multiplied by 180, right? Divided by 6. So that means each angle will be equal to 4 upon 6 or simply equal to 2 upon 3 pi. Okay. In a regular hexagon, each angle is equal to, what is it equal to? Let me check. 4 into 180 divided by 6. It's equal to 120 degrees, right? So 120 degrees is equal to 2 upon 3 pi. Okay, 120 degrees equals to 2 upon 3 pi. Now what I can do is I can find out PAQ like this. This entire circle will be equal to 2 pi. From 2 pi, we need to subtract this angle. We need to subtract this 90 degree angle and this 90 degree angle. What formula did I use? Each interior angle. Sum divided by the number of sides will give us each interior angle. Okay, मैं काम करता हूँ. This may seem a little confusing. So each interior angle, first work it out in degrees, which is equal to 120. Okay, and 120 degrees is equal to 2 upon 3 pi in radian. Okay. Now, in order to find out this angle, here's what we're going to do. This is 360. From 360, we need to subtract all the angles that we know. So we know that there are two 90 degree angles and one 2 upon 3 pi. So angle PAQ is equals to 2 pi minus 2 upon 3 pi minus pi upon 2 minus pi upon 2. Okay, if you work this out, you will get angle PAQ to be equal to 1 upon 3 pi. And there you go. Hence, we have proved it. Okay, so I repeat what I've done. So basically, when you join these lines, you get a regular hexagon. Okay, ये कौन सा formula है बेटा? This is the formula for each interior angle. Okay, this is the formula for each interior angle. ठीक है. अच्छा, let me see if there is a shorter way also. I'm pretty sure there is a shorter way. Let me see if there is one. ठीक है. Just a second. So here is what can be done. Just a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, okay. So this is a regular hexagon. I'm thinking of a shortcut because I'm pretty sure there's got to be one. So this is a regular hexagon, which means each angle is equal to, each interior angle is equal to 120 degrees, which is equal to 2 upon 3 pi. ठीक है. This is a rectangle, which means each angle is equal to 90 degrees. So from 2 pi, subtract pi upon 2, and 120, and this is what you get. How do we know it's 90? Okay, that's a good question. I'll answer that. We know that it's 90 because of this. This is a straight line. The question said, okay, this line is drawn. Where is this line drawn? Where the straight sections of the rope meet with the pipe center A. So this is the straight section of the rope, and this is a straight line. So this is 90, and therefore every other angle will also be equal to 90 degrees. Asha, Saim, just a minute. Let me see what you're saying, if that makes sense. Let me think of a shortcut. So here's what we can do. Will making more triangle inside regular hexagon be helpful in solving? Let's see. Let me see. So what we can do is, just a second, if I clear this, Tero. 2 pi you can make. I get what you're saying, but I'm thinking of a more convincing explanation. Thero, let me see. Are we given the radius? Yes, we are given the radius of देखो मैं समझ तो गया आप लोगों की बात, but if that clicks to you in the exam, go ahead. I get you guys are saying 2 pi divided by 6. ठीक है. If that clicks to you in the exam, go ahead. I have no objection with that. I have no objection with that. But I don't know. I'm not too convinced about that. I'm not too convinced about that. Okay. This is the method that I like. So I would probably go with this method. But मैं फिर भी देखता हूँ सर. एक second ठहरो. Just give me a minute. Let me try and see if I can do it. Radius is 20, so that means this is 20, this is 20. I would probably go, I would still go with the hexagon approach. Sir, but sir, wouldn't that be a forced way to get the answer since we don't have a proof? Which way? Which way are you talking about? आपके बाल असली हैं? नहीं मेरे बाल असली हैं, अल्लाह का शुक्र. मेरे बाल असली हैं. अच्छा एक काम हम और भी कर सकते हैं. Okay, wait a minute. I think if we can somehow prove that this is going to be an equilateral triangle. But can we prove that this is going to be an equilateral triangle? This is the radius, this is the radius. I don't know, I wouldn't prefer that approach. Okay, I would probably not go with that approach. Okay, I would stick to this approach only. Yeah, I would probably stick to this approach. So I think you have solved it before and used the hexagon approach. Yeah, I prefer the hexagon approach. Okay, I don't. The other approach does not make sense to me. Okay. Anyway, let's move on. Okay, let's not get stuck on this question. Let's move on. Okay. Find the length of the rope. Okay, how do I find out the length of the rope? Question for you guys. How do I find out the length of the rope? So remember this. The question said that the radius of each pipe is 20 centimeter, which means this will be equal to 40, which means this is also equal to 40. Okay? And if you think about it, here's the case. Here's the deal. We'll draw another rectangle over here. Okay? We'll draw another straight line from the center to the straight part of the rope, which means we have ourselves another rectangle. Okay? And how many of these rectangles will we have? We'll have, let's count. Okay? Ek rectangle ban gaya. Then we'll have another rectangle over here. We'll have another one over here. Okay? And then another one over here. Then another one over here. Then another one over here. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so this is what we're looking at. This is 40, 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 okay? So how many 40 do we have? It proves that it's an equilateral triangle. What proves that it's an equilateral triangle? That's what I'm interested in. Okay, I'm sure there is another approach. It's just that it hasn't clicked to me yet. Okay, so I forgot to draw a line here. So this is 40, this is 40, this is 40. So that means the length of the rope is equal to 40 times, how many 40 do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so we have 6 times 40. Okay. Now, since we have 6 times 40 plus, what about these lengths? Okay, so far what we've done is, let me highlight these lengths. We've added the lengths that I'm now highlighting using the color blue. Okay, so I've added this length, 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 and I've added this length. Okay, now there are some lengths that are still left. And the good news is all these lengths are equal. The lengths that are still left, these are the lengths that are all equal. Just like 40 was equal, these are the lengths that are equal as well. So how do I find out this length? For this length, we already know what the radius is, and we've worked out the angle to be equal to 1 upon 3 pi. Okay, so let's work it out. So 6 times, how many of these do we have? Let's just double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, we have 6 of these. So 6 times r theta, that means 20 into 1 upon 3 pi. So let's simplify. 6 times 40, that's equal to 240, plus 6 times 20, that's 120. 120 divided by 3 is 40. So 240 plus 40 pi. Can anyone check if this is the correct answer? 240 plus 40 pi. Can't we use Pythagoras theorem to prove it? Prove what? Pythagoras theorem to prove what? Achha, hang on, I'll check the answer. And while I'm checking the answer, let's see what approach they've used in the exam, in the marking scheme. For the first part, by symmetry, 6 times PAQ is equal to 2 pi. So they've also used that approach. They have also used that approach. But I don't understand where the 6 is coming from. I'm not sure I understand where the 6 is coming from. So yeah, I will refrain from using that. Or maybe there's something which is not clicking to me right now. Explaining that there are 6 sectors around the diagram that make up a complete circle. So yeah, how are there 6 sectors around the diagram that make up a complete circle? I am not too sure about that. अच्छा वेट ये तो नहीं है 2 pi divided by 6 which is equal to pi upon 3. I don't know. I'm gonna stick to the hexagon approach, guys. That makes the most sense to me. I am not too confident about the other approach. Anyway, find the area of the hexagon ABCE, giving your answer in terms of root 3. So the outer 6 circles are just a reference of the main circle, which is in the middle. If you count, there are 6 outer circles. Yeah, I agree that there are 6 outer circles, which means if I draw that, okay. But like I said, for the triangle we have 2 sides, we can't find the third one, and 10 we can find the perpendicular for part 1. Okay, that approach makes more sense. Yeah. So if you want to use the triangle approach, we can use this. We have 20, 20, and then what we can do is we can draw a right angle. But again, वही problem है ना? We can't assume the angle and then work our way. So you know what? I'm gonna stick to the hexagon approach. Okay. If the other approach makes sense to you, go ahead. If it doesn't, then stick to my hexagon approach. Let's not waste time. Okay. There are other approaches mentioned in the marking scheme, but sadly they're not clicking to me right now. So like I said, I'm going to stick to my approach only. Okay, I'll go over it, see if it clicks. Okay. Yeah, I will be doing mock exams, don't worry. And I will be solving February, March 2026. I'm not sure if I'll solve it live. If I do that, wo copyright issues ho jate hain. I'll see if I can do it maybe over Zoom or something. I'll see. Or maybe if I do it live, I'll probably save it somewhere else. I probably won't save it on my YouTube channel. Anyway, so A, B, C, D, E, F, we're supposed to find out its area. Let's do that. A, B, C, D, E, F का एरिया निकालते हैं. ठीक है, so we know that each length is equals to 40. Now if you think about it, each hexagon is technically 6 equilateral triangles. ठीक है, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So instead of finding out the area of hexagon, we can find out the area of one equilateral triangle and multiply it by 2. An equilateral triangle such that the lengths are 40 and each angle is pi upon 3. Okay, so we're going to do half into 40 into 40 into pi upon 3, sine pi upon 3 actually. And since we have 6 of these, we're going to multiply it by 6. Okay, so we're going to take one, take each of them and multiply it by 6. Let's see what we get. So 1 upon 2 into 40 into 40 into sine pi upon 3 into 6. Make sure your calculator is in radian mode. Acha, ek problem hai. If you work it out directly in your calculator, it's giving you in decimal form. So we'll have to do it step by step. So basically work this out separately. 40 into 40 is 1600. 16 upon 100 upon 2 is 800. 800 into under root 3 upon 2 times 6. Okay, so let's work this out. 800 into 6 divide by 2, that's 2400. So 2400. Let me see if that's the correct answer. Yeah, 2400 under root 3. Sir, can you remove all the boundaries and stuff? Just add the paper in your camera. Why? Why should I do that? Will you be doing circular measure from October, November 2025, the stream? Okay, let me see what the big deal is about. Just give me a minute. Let me quickly get a hold of the October, November paper. Sir, आप भेड़ पर क्या लगाते हैं? कुछ नहीं लगाता भाई. Hang on, just let me quickly get a hold of the October, November paper and see what the big deal. Was it a difficult question? Was it a difficult question? Yes or no? Change the layout. Why, you guys don't like the existing layout? It was confusing. Achha, tell me exactly which paper. I'll quickly download it. October, November 2025. Thero. Which paper are you guys talking about? मुझे ज़रा जल्दी से बताओ, मैं डाउनलोड करता हूँ. In the meantime, why don't you guys solve a question? Let's not waste time. In the meantime, why don't you guys solve a question? Easy. Yeah, do this. Try and solve this. Achha, just a minute. school support hub पूरा change हो गया. Okay guys, you know what? I can't find the 2025 papers right now. Okay. I mean, अच्छा no, wait a minute. मिल गया. 2025. Yep. अच्छा, so 2025 October, November. Which paper to be exact, guys? Was it paper 12? Which question do you guys want me to solve? Variant 12 question 10. Okay, hang on. Variant 12 question 10. Found it. Airdrop to myself. Oh wow. Okay, let's solve this question. Okay, I'll add this question as well towards the very end of the document. Okay, so let's see. Just a minute, मैं बाकी ज़रा ये सब बंद कर दूँ. Open way too many tabs. All right, now. So I have a PDF. It has all. I do have access to October November papers. It's just that I couldn't sign into my Cambridge account. Khair, I have it now. I appreciate it. Thank you. So let's see what it says. This says the diagram shows a circle with center A. Okay, so let's identify which circle it is talking about, because there are a bunch of circles and radius R passing through the points B, C, D. So that's probably this circle right here. Because this circle is just passing through B, C, and D. A larger circle of radius S, so that's probably this circle, has center C and passes through B and D. Yep, so that is this big circle right here. The length BD is also S, so this is also S. So this is the larger circle. ठीक हो गया? And this has radius S and this length is also S. ठीक है. Show that S is equals to under root 3R. Okay, let's see how we can do that. So first of all, notice that we have, so basically if you look at the big circle right here, in this big circle, there are 3 lengths drawn. Okay? There are 3 lengths drawn, which means each angle will be equal to pi upon 3. Okay? So it's like 2 pi, actually, 2 pi divided by 3. Okay? So basically angle BAD will be equal to 2 pi divided by 3. Okay, why is that? I'll explain. So this is the big circle. Oh, sorry, the small circle. This is the center of the small circle. Okay, and from the center, there are 3 radii drawn. Okay, there are 3 radii drawn, which means, and not just 3 radii. In fact, if you think about it, there are 3 identical triangles. Okay, and if these triangles are identical, that means each angle will be equal as well. Okay, so let me do that again. So this is the circle that I want you guys to keep in view. This is the center of the circle. Okay, from the center of the circle, there are 3 identical triangles drawn. Okay, and what will be the angle of each triangle? It will be equal to 2 pi divided by 3, which is equal to 2 upon 3 pi. Okay, now we have to show that s is equals to under root 3r. So technically, we can use this triangle and we can use cosine rule. Yeah, we can use cosine rule, or what we can do is this. Cosine rule will take a lot of marks. Instead, what we can do is we can find out half s. Okay, and then we can work our way towards s. So I've drawn a right angle. Okay, this is pi upon 3. I think that would be a better approach. Okay, that's probably why it's a 2-mark question. So what I can use is, so we have the opposite length, okay, and we have the hypotenuse. So we can use sine. So sine of pi upon 3 is equals to the opposite length, which is half s, upon the hypotenuse, which is r. Let's see, what do we get? So sine pi upon 3, sine pi upon 3 is equal to under root 3 upon 2. So under root 3 upon 2 r equals to half s. Okay, and since we're supposed to find out the value of s, we can cross out the 2 and we have s is equals to under root 3r. S equals under root 3 r. This is what we were supposed to do, and there you go. We have done just that. Okay. This is October-November 2025. All right, then the next question is, find an expression for area of the shaded region. Give your answer in terms of a plus b pi r square, where a and b are constants to be found. Okay, so let's quickly clear this mess up. Let's take a screenshot. So I usually cover a lot of topics once, and then sometimes what is that? Then sometimes I don't feel like studying and procrastinate. How do I overcome this thing? Okay, well, let me answer that question later. Okay, first let me solve this question. Okay, here we are. Let's see what it says. Find an expression for b, for the area of the shaded region, giving an answer in the form of a plus b pi. Okay, this is what we're supposed to do. So let's plan. Planning, remember, is crucial. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Simple as that. Acha, ab how do I find out the area of the shaded region? Let's see. So if I can find out the area of this sector, is this a sector? Yes, it is. Okay. And then from that, if I can subtract the area of the triangle and the area of this segment right here. Okay, let's do that again. So first we'll have to find out the area of sector BAD. Okay, now since we already know what the angle is, I think let's start with that. We know that this angle is 2 upon 3 pi. So let's start with that. So first let's find out the area of, first let's make an equation. The area of shaded region is equal to area of sector BAD, okay, which is this sector right here. From this, we'll have to subtract the area of triangle BAD. Okay, so minus area of triangle BAD. And from this, we'll also have to subtract the area of segment. Ab area of segment kaise aayega? We'll talk about that shortly. Okay, we'll talk about that shortly. First, let's do this. Let's find out area of sector BAD. So in order to find out the area of sector BAD, we'll do half r square theta. It's a 7-mark question, so let's start securing marks first. So half r square into theta, which is equal to 2 upon 3 pi. minus the area of triangle BAD, which will be equal to half into R into sine of 2 upon 3 pi. Okay. Sector minus triangle for segment. Yep, that is correct. That is correct. Okay. But we'll get to that in a minute. First, let's simplify this. So half into 2 upon 3, we can cross out this half. So this will give us 1 upon 3 pi r square. Okay. Now let's work this out using our calculator. 1 upon 3 pi r square ye aa gaya. Minus, first let's work out sine of 2 pi upon 3. Sine of 2 pi divided by 3. That gives us under root 3 upon 2. Let's divide that by 2, or let's multiply that by half. So that gives us under root 3 upon 4. So under root 3 upon 4 r square. Let's see how we're supposed to give the final answer. We're supposed to give the final answer as a plus b pi r square. Okay, so we'll do that shortly. Now we have to find out the area of segment. Okay. O level yearly karwaenge? Of course karwaunga beta. Let's find out the area of segment. And which segment to be precise? Let me color code. Okay, let's turn this green. So when I say segment, I mean this segment. Oops, this segment. Okay, how will we find out the area of this segment? Let's have a look. So to find out the area of this segment, we will first find out the area of sector. Acha, अब the question is, what will this angle be equal to? I missed pi. Where did I miss pi? No, I don't think I missed pi. Pi is supposed to be here, and here we worked out sine 2 upon 3 pi. Okay, so we got under root 3 upon 4 r square. I don't think I've missed pi. Okay. But if I still have, let me know. Anyway, so each angle over here is 2 upon 3 pi. Okay. So if each angle is 2 upon 3 pi, what we'll have to do first is to find out angle ACB, we'll have to take 2 pi. From that, we have to subtract 2 upon 3 pi. Okay. And then we'll have to divide it by 2. Okay. So I repeat, this is an isosceles triangle with one angle being 2 upon 3 pi. So if I subtract this angle from, actually not 2 pi, sorry. Actually not 2 pi, from pi, since it's 180 degrees. Yeah. So pi minus the angle that we know, divide that by 2 because it's equally divided into the two remaining angles. Okay. Area of segment abhi nikal rahe hain. Area of segment nikala nahi hai. Area of segment abhi nikal rahe hain. So let's work this out. Pi minus 2 upon 3 pi divided by 2, that's equal to 1 upon 6 pi. So that means this angle is equal to 1 upon 6 pi. Achha, also I just realized, okay, ek badi bewakufi kar di maine. Dekho, this triangle right here is an equilateral triangle. So that means I don't even have to work hard for the angle. I already know that this angle will be equal to pi upon 3. Okay, I didn't notice that these lengths are also equal to s. So since all these three lengths are s, that means each angle is equal and it's equal to pi upon 3. Okay, I didn't notice that. So that means we don't have to do any of this. Okay. So area of segment, remember triangle BCD is an equilateral triangle. Therefore, angle BCD is equal to pi upon 3. Okay. We don't have to do that. Okay, we don't have to do that. Okay, so just follow this approach. We want this angle. Okay, this is an equilateral triangle, so each angle will be pi upon 3. Okay, now we have enough information to find out the area of segment. How will I find out the area of segment? Area of segment will once again be equal to area of sector minus area of triangle. Area of sector, but which sector? Area of sector CBD minus the area of triangle. And which triangle? The same triangle, CBD. That will give us the area of sector. Okay. So area of sector CBD, sorry, that will give us the area of segment. Area of sector CBD, that will be equal to half r square theta. Achha, but here's the thing. R is basically now equal to S. Okay, the radius of the big circle is equal to S. And S, we've already worked out in terms of R, and that is equal to root 3R. Okay, so half root 3 r, so half root 3 r squared multiplied by theta, which is equal to pi upon 3. Okay, we'll come back to it. Minus the area of triangle CBD, which will be equal to half into, once again, root 3r into root 3r into sine pi upon 3. Okay, bear in mind that we've already expressed s to be equal to under root 3r. Why not use sector ABD? ABD तो हमने देखो, the area that we're finding out, अच्छा, wait a minute, yeah, the area that we're finding out is basically this area. Okay, the area that we're, and ABD, if I use ABD, then A is the center of a different circle. Okay, if the center A, we get this sector. Okay, so pay attention. Center A is basically the center of this sector. Okay, to find out the area of this segment, we have to use the sector with center C. Okay, so that is what makes it confusing. Okay, now let's put this all together. It's the home stretch. Let's wrap things up. So this will be 1 upon 2 into 3r square into pi upon 3. Okay, we'll simplify this shortly. Minus 1 upon 2 into 3r square into, let's see what is sine pi upon 3. Sine pi upon 3, that's equal to under root 3 upon 2. Okay. Now it's time to wrap things up. This 3 and this 3 cancels. And anything else that I can cancel? No, I'm afraid not. So we have 1 upon 2 pi r square minus 3 under root 3 upon 4 r square. Okay? Now it's time to put this all together. So we have the area of sector BAD minus the area of triangle BAD, and from that we need to subtract the area of segment. So this, let's copy this. Okay, let's copy this, and from this we have to subtract the area of segment. That means 1 upon 2 pi r square minus 3 under root 3 upon 4 r square. Let's open the bracket and let's see what do we get. So we get 1 upon 3 pi r square. From this we need to subtract 1 upon 2 pi r square. Okay, we'll do that shortly. Achha, then minus under root 3 upon 4 r square plus 3 under root 3 upon 4 r square. Let's simplify things and let's see what do we get. So 1 upon 3 minus 1 upon 2, that's equal to minus 1 upon 6 pi r square minus 1 upon 6 pi r square. Okay, I think we're on the right track. Minus under root 3 plus 3 under root 3, that's equal to 2 under root 3 upon 4, which we can simplify and write it as 1 upon 2. So here's what we get. We get 1 upon 2 under root 3 r square minus 1 upon 6 pi r square. And now all we have to do is take r square common. So if I take r square common, the answer is basically a plus b pi. So a is the constant, that is 1 upon 2 under root 3. Okay, we've taken r square common. And b is the coefficient of pi, so that's minus 1 upon 6 pi. Please tell me that is the correct answer. Is this the correct answer, fellas? Can I show my pen settings? There you go. These are my pen settings, but kind of irrelevant right now. I haven't downloaded the marking scheme yet. Tell me if this is the correct answer. So it is too focused right now. Yeah, a question like this requires a lot of focus, guys. So, how difficult was this paper? By the way, sir, P3 KB lectures upload karen. Yeah, I will start streaming P3. Don't worry, guys. This is the correct answer. Thank God. So, I guess we're done now. Okay. So let's keep it till here only. We will inshallah meet another day with another topic. I will encourage you guys to solve the remaining questions. This was also a good question. It's from May, June 2024. I think this is the first paper that was leaked. This is when paper started leaking. Yeah, this paper was also leaked, sadly. Sir, what about S1? Yeah, I will be streaming regularly, guys. Don't worry, I will be streaming regularly. So I will announce on my Instagram what paper what topic it is that I'm streaming, so stay tuned. So I usually cover, beta dekho, you have to overcome it yourself, okay? Don't think, Shayan, I'm going to give you a magical tip which is going to change your life, okay? So you have to remind yourself that there's a lot invested, okay? These papers are expensive, your parents are working very hard to make sure that you know, to make sure okay, you're able to take these exams, okay? तो उसके बाद, you know, procrastinating and all that really doesn't make sense, ठीक है? आप खुद कमा के देखो, ठीक है? See if you can earn enough money to pay for even one exam, okay? You'll probably realize that it's not easy, okay? And so the opportunity that you have, you should probably make the most of it, okay? It's really as simple as that. So P3 on 20th, any last minute tips? Solve past papers. Solve as many past papers as possible. Discrete data में सिर्फ whole numbers होते हैं. I missed statistics class of yesterday. Yeah, discrete data में whole numbers होते हैं, but we didn't do discrete data yesterday. Wait, are you talking about my class or are you talking about your own class? I don't know much. But yeah, discrete data, but that, if you missed the class, this is probably not the only thing you've missed. Okay, there's a lot of other stuff that you missed. I would suggest you watch the recording of the class. Okay, so I'm going to stop here. I'll see you guys inshallah in the next stream, whenever that is. So take care, fellas. Allah Hafiz.